Hum da dum. This show is dum 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 dum. Oh, I'm sorry. Hello and welcome. This is Brian, the speaker, coming to you today behind the wheel of the truck on my way across the country once again. Here to do a review of the latest episode of Book of Boba Fett, episode 3. So, as you might have been able to guess from the way I started my video, this is not going to be a happy video. You see, I've been giving Book of Boba Fett the benefit of the doubt. And now, really, all there is just the doubt. That's all that's left. Because this episode, I mean, I know that a lot of people have had their problems with this. I know that they've kind of broken with a lot of the lore, with the sand people and different things. But I've been trying to just give them a chance to get this going. I've been trying. I mean, if you've watched my videos on this, you know that I've been trying to be understanding. Give them a chance, because this is Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni doing this, and you know, they've proven that they can do some good Star Wars stuff. Well, maybe they're going to be able to turn this back around. I just don't know how at this point. I am slowly but surely sliding into the what the F category, the WTF category. So let's get into this and let's talk about it. So if you have not seen this episode yet, I'm talking spoilers. I'm going to go through this whole episode and just kind of give you the breakdown and show you where I had problems and why this did not work for me. So this episode starts out where they're basically in some kind of a staff meeting for 3 people. The android, Boba Fett, and what's her face? Fenrig girl, the assassin. I don't care. Anyway, they're in this meeting talking about how this territory was set up and how Bib Fortuna was controlling stuff. And anyway, in the middle of this, somebody shows up, and one of his people from Mos Eisley, you know, it's not Mos Eisley. It's whatever. I don't know. Mos wannabe Eisley, something. I don't know. It's some other city in Tatooine. So, and if you don't tell me what it is, because I don't care, because it's just a city. The only one I really had any great connection with was Mos Eisley. So, you know, because that one actually, I don't know, mattered at one point in Star Wars lore. So anyway, this guy comes in. I like the actor who actually plays the guy that comes in. He always plays kind of a whining, snivelly character, which I feel bad for him for that, but I like him. He makes me laugh when he was in The Big Bang Theory. Anyway, he comes in, and he's like, beg your pardon, but nobody respects you. This is the first thing he says. And it's like, Fennec gets all butthurt on Boba's behalf, and he's like, look, I'm not saying this to be a dick. I'm like, but nobody respects you, and here's why. Like, I've got these people that are robbing me. You know, they're robbing me, and they're loser gang punk kids who add droid parts to themselves to make themselves more dangerous. So in my head, I'm thinking, what, like a discount version of the Borg from Star Trek? Okay, so that's a thing now in Star Wars. All right. So we're going to refer to these newcomers as the Diet Borg people, because they're not full Borg people like Star Trek. They're the lighter version, like light beer. So they're the Diet Borg. Okay, so that's who he's telling them about is robbing him. And he's like, if you'll come and take care of these people who are undermining you and hurting me, you know, then I will pay you double the tribute. And I'm just sitting there thinking, what what boss person who's in charge of an area lets somebody talk to them like this? I mean, in one regard, he is being respectful and disrespectful at the same time. There should have been some consequence for that. Nothing happens to the guy. Anyway, so Boba Fett goes with the water merchant guy and Fenrig, whatever face is, to confront these thieves. So he walks up. It's dark. And he walks up to him. He's like, "Hey, what are you drinking?" And they're like, "Water." "Where did you get it?" "We stole it." And so they're mouthing off to him. And he's like, "What are you going to do about it, old man?" And he's like, "Watch it." Like he's their dad. "Don't you take that tone with me, young man." That's might as well have been what he said. You know, I'm like, okay, all right. And I don't understand why this is happening, but okay. And anyway, they start complaining. They're like, well, he charges too much for his water. He charges a month's wages for a week's worth of water. And we don't have wages. And Boba Fett's like, well, you're in the working quarter. Why don't you have jobs? There are no jobs. Look around here. There's no jobs to be had. And I'm sitting there in my head thinking, oh, well, sure, then you had to rob him. Because that makes it okay. If you don't have it and somebody else has it, you want it, you just take it. That's the new morality. Thieving isn't thieving if you need it. You know, so, I mean, I really need a new Apple iWatch. I lost mine. I need a new one. So I'm just going to walk into Walmart, punch through a case, and take it because I need it. Right? That's the new morals that we're on. I mean, anyway, so he's like, well, you don't have jobs? Well, you got gumption talking back to me. I'm like, why, you haven't done anything to show them that you're a bad... I'm sorry, but you haven't done anything to prove that, like, talking back to you was a bad idea. But he's like, anyway, so he's like, so why don't you come work for me? And they're all like, oh, and they're all excited. I was like, all right. And he turns around and he's like, and then the water merchant gets all butthurt. You're just going to let them off? They robbed from me. Well, how much do they owe you? 1,300 credits. 1,300 credits for water? And he turns around, throws him 500 credits, says their account's cleared. And by the way, drop your water prices. So I'm thinking, I'm confused. I know that Boba Fett's trying to turn over a new leaf. He's a different kind of Boba Fett than the one we're used to. But I'm not sure what's happening here. Are you a good guy or are you a crime lord? Because you're operating in a crime lord's palace using a crime lord's model, but you're not a crime lord? I mean, and regardless of whether the water merchant is charging too much or not, that's his business. He can decide to charge whatever the hell he wants. Having some thug come in, some good guy thug come in and tell you what you have to charge, how is that different than a crime lord? Wait, so I still have to pay you tribute, but you're telling me I have to, which is essentially taxes, I have to charge less. Now, I'm not saying that the water merchant's a moral guy or a decent guy for overcharging for water, but is he the only water merchant in the city? Is that the only place those people could go get water? Was from him? I doubt it. It looks like a pretty good sized city. If that guy has a bad business model and is charging too much for water, guess what? He'll go out of business if there's other people who are charging different prices. So, welcome to the new socialist communist utopia of most whatever the hell it is. Being enforced by so-and-so being told how much you can charge for your product. Hey. Oh, but keep paying me taxes, by the way. So, yeah, so there's that. So he hires the wannabe Diet Borg Harley Davidson riders, because that comes up later. They all have speeder bikes that look like somebody saw a picture of a Harley Davidson at one point, or some motorcycle, and they made their bikes after. I mean, before this, the sand speeders at least looked like something that was a sand speeder. These ones are all like brightly colored, red and yellow and purple, and the one girl, her bike has like 65 mirrors, rear view mirrors on it. They're like all over. And as someone who owns a Harley and rides a Harley, if you didn't have to have a mirror on there, I wouldn't put one on there, because it obstructs your view going forward. That many mirrors, she's going to be running into crap all the time, because she's missing things that are coming at her. Anyway, so that happens. So now he's got the wannabe Diet Borg Harley Davidson riders, speeder people working for him. And there's like, I don't know, looks like 4 of them. Anyway, so there's that going on. And, yeah. So, and then we're back in the back to tank, because that's where he spends all of his time, because he's a badass who can't get out of a back to tank for more than 5 minutes. And he starts going back through the visions thing again, which I'm like, all right, more flashbacks, which I didn't have a problem with, but now I'm starting to, because I'm like, okay, we should be caught up on the flashbacks by now. But no, come to find out that after the events of last episode with the train, he goes into town to settle up with the Pikes for the protection racket. There's this whole thing where, well, we're not going to pay you and this other group of speeder bike people, the ones that he kicked the crap out of in the bar at Tashi Station. We're not going to pay you and them to protect our trains. And so, yeah. So he's like, all right, I will go take care of this. Anyway, so he leaves the Pikes thing, and he goes back to the village. And off in the distance, there's smoke. So we all know what's coming. He gets back to the village. Everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. Everybody in the village has been killed and burned and stuff. And then all of a sudden, his vision of the past is interrupted as the back of the tank is opened up, and big hairy black Wookiee shows up and starts trying to kill him, beating the crap out of him, choking the life out of him and stuff. And then all of a sudden the wannabe Borg bikers come running in to save him, and there's something happens. It's filmed in the dark, and all I could hear was some punching sounds, some choking sounds, some Wookiees grunting noises, and then some punch sounds and some stabby stab sounds. And then you hear as well the Wookiee yells, and then everything goes quiet. And the next thing you hear is Boba Fett saying, put him in my back to tank. I'm assuming he meant the Wookiee, because it's dark and I can't see a damn thing. Now, there's a way to film in the dark so that like you still get what's going on. This is not it. If all I can hear is the sounds and I don't know what's happening on screen, that's too damn dark. You filmed it wrong. Anyway, so next thing you know, the twins show up. Generic Hut 1 and Generic Hut Sister 2 show up at the palace. And he goes out, and, you know, there they are. And he's like, all right, so what's going on? And the Huts are like, Anushka Pudayashu Tubo. You know what they do. The Jabba wannabes. And they're like, we're sorry we sent someone to kill you. We feel bad about it. Sorry. I'm just like, my mouth fell open. I'm like, what? What? Oh, and we feel so bad about it. We brought you a gift. Everybody loved Baby Yoda so much. We have brought you Baby Rancor. Okay. Alright. Because Disney wants to sell Rancor toys. So we brought you Rancor. And we are going to leave. You should leave too. Bad syndicate coming. War bad for business. And I'm like, this whole conversation, I keep yelling the word, what? 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 War is bad for business? No, I'm sorry. I wish war was bad for business. War is not bad. Well, it depends. War is bad for some business. War is really good business in another regard. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's wrong. And you're telling me that the Hutts, who have their little fat chubby goo fingers in everything, don't profit from war? Okay. But the twins are leaving, and they wanted to give him a present. They bring out big black Wookiee guy, and they're like, take your Wookiee back. And the twins are like, we don't want him. Just sell him off to the gladiator pits where we found him. Blah, blah, blah. And so Boba Fett turns and releases him, and the Wookiee runs away. Yep, just runs away. Doesn't turn to him and go, how would you like a place with me? I've got this big goddamn palace, and there's like 6 people living here. You want to work for me and be my big, hairy, black Wookiee guy? I've got a lot of rooms I could put you up in. I need some heavy muscle people. But no, unlock him, let him go. Because, it's not like he needs muscle or anything like that to help him run this empire that he's got going on. No. And so and then the twins turn around and leave. Because I guess we just needed to have Hutts in the show. Because for 5 minutes, because it's Tatooine and we just had to have Hutts. What? Anyway, so that's a thing. So that happens, and then so we find out that from the Hutts that the syndicate coming in is working with the mayor, and so they leave, and then Boba Fett goes to see the mayor, gets to the mayor's office, rolls up with his Borg, with his 4 wannabe Borg Harley Davidson riders, and Fennec, the girl bounty hunter person. And they pull up to the mayor's office, and they go in, and the dumbass Twi'lek guy is there telling them how his schedule's busy and they can't see him, being a douchebag to him again for the 3rd time now. Almost every episode, this guy gets to be a total tool bag to Boba Fett and have nothing happen to him for it. This time he starts doing the same song and dance again, and Fennec goes, choose your words carefully, they may be your last, and she pulls her blaster pistol out like she's in the Wild West. And, which I appreciate, because I live in the Wild West, the Western United States, and I actually like Westerns. But it was lame the way she did it. And he's like, oh, well then, I think something can be opened up for you. Just let me go check. Now in my head, I'm thinking, don't let him leave that room. What I'm really thinking is, in my head, about the time he started mouthing off about there not being appointment time for 20 days and they need to come back. I mean, me, if I would not have waited for Fennec to say something because I'm Boba Fett and maybe I should pretend to be in charge of something. I don't know. Rather than stand around and be a bobblehead. Hi, I'm Boba Fett. I'm in charge. And no, so what I would have done is Boba Fett, I'm walking around, I'm just calmly, gracefully, and respectfully walk around the counter, walk up to the Twilight, grab him, smash him against the wall, and say, how's your schedule now? Because if you don't get me into, if you don't open that door and let me see him right now, you will be dead before you hit the floor. How's the schedule look? I wouldn't have let him out of my sight. I wouldn't have, but no, because, that's me. And I think about things like in the real world, where if a person has showed you disrespect multiple times, you don't give them any more chances to show you disrespect. That's me in the real world. And this is not in the real world. This is a fairy tale land where Disney story writers write up weird crap that doesn't make sense. And so he goes in and turns around, goes into the office where the mayor's at, and all of a sudden the red light comes on the door, and they're like, did he just lock the door? And I'm sitting there thinking, yes, of course he locked the door. He was blowing you up. You think that the mayor was in there? Do you think the mayor's in there? Or if he is, he was ever going to let you see him? No. This has been his shtick since day one, since you met him. And so she walks out, and Boba Fett doesn't open the door. Nope. Fennec has to come open the door with her super duper skills because Boba Fett doesn't know how to open a door. So they go in, and you hear a speeder powering up and getting ready to go. He runs out and tells his Borg Harley Davidson diet people, go get him. And so they go and initiate what can only be described as the slowest, lamest hover speed bike chase in Star Wars history. People go faster on motorcycles than they were driving. It was like slow motion action sequence without the slow motion being an excuse for why they were going so slow. Speeder bikes jumping, and of course all the guy bikers run into stuff, hit things, get flipped over. Only the girl biker with 1,000 mirrors, maybe that's why she has all the mirrors, is because that's why she can see everything. All angles through these magic mirrors on her bike. Manages to land on him, disable his car, and hurl him into a pile of I don't know what, and stuff piles up on top of him. And in my head I'm thinking, is this supposed to be like a retarded callback to Back to the Future? When he crashes into the car and the manure falls down on top of him, because it was way better in Back to the Future. It was faster in Back to the Future and made more sense in Back to the Future. This just looks stupid, and it was slow. And then this guy, the Twilight guy's like, he's with the Pikes. He's with the Pikes. He's working with the Pikes. And I'm like, I'd have pulled him out of that car, and I've been like, yeah, we'll get there. I'd pull him out of the car and shot him in the leg, and then been, okay, now let's talk. I want you to remember that the next time you talk to me, anytime you act stupid, I'm going to remember this pain. Oh, and by the way, shoot him in the other leg and be like, that's for the last time you talk to me like that. Now let me think, how many times have you done this? How many times have you been an asshat to me? Oh, this makes 3. Shoot him in the arm and be like, don't ever be an asshat to me again, because this is what will happen to you. Enjoy your bandages. Now tell me everything you know. Because that's what a badass who isn't going to take crap from anybody does. That's how you gain the respect of a criminal element in a city. It's like, it is not worth it to screw with Boba Fett. For every mistake you make, he'll shoot you that many times. I mean, something. But no, anyway, so we find out that the Pikes are involved. And, I don't even want to, the next parts get even worse. So we see this spaceship coming in, and it lands, and some Pikes are getting off, and wannabe Borg black boy Harley biker is there, and obviously sees them and gets on his bike and like right in front of them, not covert at all, then just drives off like his pants are on fire, because that won't be suspicious to the Pikes at all, knowing that they're moving into hostile territory controlled by other people. You know, that's how you behave as a syndicate. And he runs off and calls Boba Fett and Fennec are in this room somewhere, I don't know where, and like, yeah, we just saw the Pikes. Are you sure? Yeah, I know a Pike when I see one. Oh, okay, this is the worst dialogue ever. And like, all right, keep your eye open. Well, he has this prosthetic eye because they've been putting Borg droid parts in him, right? Because they want to be Borg people. And he's like, oh, sorry, it's just an expression. Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm proud of my eye. So good to know that the handy capable are being represented in this TV show. Anyway, so they get off with the wannabe light diet Borg guy off the comm thing. They're like, you know, this is Fennec. This is just the first wave, you know. Sounds like they're going to war. And Boba Fett, with the dumbest expression on his face, turns and goes, and we will be ready. I'm thinking, for death? Yeah, you totally prepared for that. I mean, all you need is just go buy about 8 body bags, and you got everybody in your organization covered. And that's even including the one for the white weirdo droid back at the palace. Oh, you'll need one for the big spider weird droid, because they managed to show that finally in this episode. So that's important. Because you and, 5-6 other people in your big Empire staff here, your big criminal escapade staff here, yeah, okay, so they're going to take over. You're going to fight the Pikes with that. The Pikes, this huge syndicate who has their own ships, who deals in spice. They're ruthless killers, ruthless, horrible syndicate. And you're gonna win with all 6 to 8 of you. You will be ready, yeah, to die. Seriously, nothing in this show makes sense now. They killed off the Tuskens. I thought they might be setting up the Tusken Raiders to be some kind of a muscle thing behind him that would come in and help. My guess is they'll still try and do that in some weird kind of Quigley Down Under way. If you haven't seen Quigley Down Under, go watch it. That'll explain what I'm talking about. I don't know, like somehow the Sand People come to back him up because he was such a good guy to one of their tribes. And honestly, I don't understand where this is going now. Now, I have been trying to give this the benefit of the doubt. All I really have left now after this episode is just the doubt, because none of this makes sense. It is the problem with Hollywood being schizophrenic and incapable of understanding the concept of good and evil, right and wrong. If you don't have those things figured out, you cannot write a compelling story. It ends up being gobbledygook, a mess of mush, where nobody comes off looking like the good or the bad guy. They're all just victims with reasons for what they do. No, being a victim doesn't entitle you to be evil and get away with it. But seriously, I don't know what they're doing with this show now. It's just a bizarre thing. So on that note, I will leave off. Let me know what you think in the comments. They finally managed to do it. They finally managed to get me on the negative side of this show that I was trying to be positive and at least give it a shot. And within 3 episodes, they've got me going, I don't know what's happening. So let me know what you think. Let me know what comment, like, share, and we will talk to you next time around. And don't forget, dun 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 dun, this show is dumb.